Namaste. I'm building my own endless running game in Unity, but the problem is, I know absolutely nothing. Somehow I decided I was going to build this game utilizing my vacation, so this should go perfectly, right? Right? For those seeing me for the first time, my name is Amrita Bhattrai and I am a third year CC student. I have always loved playing games. And I have probably spent an unhealthy amount of time playing them. But somewhere along the way, that love changed into a curious question, I would say, about what would it like to be to create one? Ha ha ha. I'm currently exploring different areas in tech to figure out what I want to pursue as a career. And I thought, why not start with game dev? Not just learn about it, but build or make an actual game. So, day one started off with the most important part of making a game, which is figuring out what the actual game is. And it was harder than I expected. I sat down and started brainstorming. One idea did not work, another did not work, another one also terrible. After more than literal hour of staring at screen and questioning my life choices, I finally had an idea. I wanted something inspired by game like Vector and Jetpack Joyrider, but I also wanted the atmosphere and mystery of something like Limbo. So I eventually settled on a side view endless running game with a story and mysteries that slowly reveal themselves as you survive, and that is how SCURUN was born. SCURUN, basically running for survival. Now that I have a game idea, it was time to actually make one. First, I created Unity project, then I set up GitHub repo because apparently, even if you don't know how to make a game, you should at least know how to break it safely. So I started with the fundamentals: the player, movement, jumping, gravity, ground detection. All the things sound incredibly simple until you actually try to build them. At first, I was just happy to see the character move, and then the player started jittering. Not just moving, not just running, jittering. Like the character had consumed 7 energy drinks, just like my friends do one night before exam. Shout out to my boys. After digging through the settings, I eventually adjusted the game timing slash physics settings in Unity, and the jittering was gone. The first bug defeated. Approximately 700 more to go, but yeah, we're fine. Next, we needed the ground. Uh, because an endless running game without an endless ground is basically just falling simulator. Idea was simple: spawn pieces of ground as the player moves forward, and we bumped into another problem. The player was literally bumping. Sometimes the character would hit the ground in weird ways, sometimes collision did not work as we expected. Sometimes game said physics was optional. So we started debugging the collider. We checked the collider shape, we checked scale, we adjusted the values, and after a few attempts, we finally got the collider behaving properly. The player could run, ground worked, and approximately 5 minutes, everything was peaceful, which obviously meant something was about to break. This is where I discovered that making a character run is apparently much more complicated than making his leg move up and down. The feet weren't landing properly, the animation looked weird, the character could run, but his feet weren't exactly agreeing with the ground. Then is when I got introduced to Foot IK, which helped me a lot. Once I understood how Foot IK works, we realized it could solve a lot of foot placement problems we're seeing, and slowly the animation started looking much more natural. And at this point, we also needed proper player assets and animation, so I started searching, and this was another lesson. Finding an asset isn't necessarily the same as finding an asset that actually works with a project. We found the player module, we found the animation, and I thought we're done. But no, getting the player and the animation to work together in Unity created another set of problems, so we had to search again. And this time, instead of searching for the asset itself, we started searching for solutions to the specific integration problem. And something I slowly learned throughout this entire process was game development isn't just about knowing the answers. A huge part of it is knowing how to find the answers. We finally had players' basic fundamentals down: movement, running, jumping, ground detection, animation, collision. It wasn't a finished player by any means, but for someone who had started off with zero game dev knowledge, seeing a player run through the world you've created was pretty damn amazing. And this is where I discovered another part of game development nobody warned me about. Not that I inquired somebody, but finding good assets takes forever. I was looking for mountains, trees, forests, sky, background element. Everything had to fit the visual style. And I had one problem. I was doing this during my vacation, which meant I did not have unlimited time. So eventually, I made a decision. Instead of spending days searching for the perfect background asset, I would generate the asset myself using AI. Not myself, I generate that asset using AI. So I basically did that. With the help of AI, I started generating background elements: forest, mountains, far mountains, near mountains, trees, and then we brought them into Unity and started placing them one by one. The goal was to create multiple layers so that the background would have depth and feel alive. It sounds simple until you have to make all the layers work together. But slowly, the world started coming together. And eventually, we completed the sky, which brought us to. Technically, I have a confession to make. We are behind schedule, very behind schedule. And it's not because of a big technical issue we had, it's because I am in vacation, and I had to enjoy my time. So I used almost 1 week watching series and movies that I enjoyed, and I enjoyed them. And I don't want to make a video sounding very perfect and make it look like I did everything on time and um, very disciplined, because I am not. And documenting this whole stuff, opening a YouTube channel, as I first said in the first video, was to make myself more disciplined and more consistent, which I am still not, and I'm trying to be. So, yeah, we delayed. The original plan didn't exactly go as I imagined, but that's okay.
I mean, it's all right.
Like, I've learned from this project more than I expected I would learn. Right now, the sky is done, the player fundamentals are working, the background is taking shape, and now we're moving on to the next chapter of our game. We need obstacles, then we'll start bringing all these systems together, and there is where things are going to get interesting, because right now we have pieces of game, but we don't actually have a game yet. Project started with me knowing basically nothing about game development, and now a player is running around in a world that I built. That's it for this video right now. See you in the next one.